Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about investing, silver investing too, and all that, but just common sense stuff. First thing I tell you, I always said I like Mark Faber, right? And there's a lot of people I don't like, to tell you the truth. But there's other ones too, Jim Rickards, Rickards, I think it is, and it's Jim Sinclair. They're pretty good, but actually I like Mark Faber, and I'm going to tell you something he kind of revealed, and this is how I picked up, the guy actually does give a shit. He gives a shit about his fellow man. A lot of people on the top, they act like they care, and they don't care. Mark Faber gives a damn. He said something which is kind of revealing, which I kind of figured too. He says he feels a little guilty about making money on capital gains and dividends. Money should be made on work. Yeah, well, I think he worked too. But pay very careful attention to his advice. And, sometimes I think people interpret his advice wrong, so I like to say what I think he really meant. But, the fact that he's in over 25% physical gold tells you something. He's afraid of a catastrophic collapse. Systemic catastrophic collapse ain't going to happen right away. And I'm going to tell you what I think is the way it's going to play out. There's going to be a couple scares before the collapse. You might see silver go up to 70, 65 to 75, around there. Then pull back below 50, get up over 100, then pull back again. And then you got the collapse. I think the collapse is going to take probably to like 2017 or 2018, around that time. I think it's a ways off. And I know it's easy to make predictions far away, but it ain't going to happen right away. Now, the guys I don't trust, I was listening to Bar None. Well, I actually screwed up his name. I thought it was Barone because he was like Italian or something. I think of Barone. It's Bar None, right? I was watching some of his video, and he was talking about Max Kaiser and his Bitcoins. Hey, truth, I don't trust anybody who promotes Bitcoins, and I don't trust Max Kaiser. I pointed this out before about his program, buy a coin and bust JP Morgan. I was not going to wait till 100 to sell, but I figured it was going to go a little bit above 50. I was going to dump it. It didn't. That pissed me off. Big time. And I got a memory like an elephant. And, I studied the whole situation. But if you looked on the internet, you could find that, I think it was Seeking Alpha had articles out there about, the PSLV insiders were selling off all their PSLV back in August when silver was like 40-something. And you should too. And all these guys like Max Kaiser back in April, he was pumping that stuff up left and right. Eric Sprott's a silver vigilante. Yeah. I said this a few times, and I listened to some garbage about Eric Sprott was talking about today. He's like, he's going to give you like his predictions on silver and gold. He didn't give me no numbers though. But if he gave me a number, I wouldn't trust it anyway. Tell you the truth. So the guy's smart though. I don't like knock nothing. I mean, I look at George Soros, I realize George Soros is smart. I ain't gonna follow every damn thing he says like, he's gospel, he ain't my God or nothing like that, but he's smart. So I read between the lines. But I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know, maybe my message is kind of generally received, but, I don't do this to spite anybody. I was criticizing, like, Brother John F. or something, for instance. I got a suspicion of that guy, man, big time. Well, more than a suspicion, I guess, if you're going to put it. To me, it's plain and obvious. Somehow he's working for a silver cartel or some bullshit. Because a guy like that who's into, conspiracies left and right, I never heard him say anything about what Max Kaiser with his buy silver, break JP Morgan, and all of a sudden, once it goes to 50, we're going to break JP Morgan, but it just goes to 47, 48, and it crashes. Nah. And then, but David Morgan and Eric Sprott sold right before the crash, April 28th, I believe it was. Right before the week, and a week later, it all crashed down and went down to like 33. I didn't know that. I mean, you're going to hold, right? You're going to break JP Morgan. So, Brother John F. never points this out. So, I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean, but, I'm trying to figure it out, guys. Women and all those other people out there. Just figure it out. That's a conspiracy guy. How come he ain't bringing out any kind of things like that? And, there was all these articles about PSLV insiders selling back in April and September. BJF didn't tell you nothing about that. I don't know. I don't trust that guy, man. But I guess I'm more like the guy. I'm more like I got a conscience like Mark Faber does. I'm out for the middle class. You know what I mean? For real. Actually, I realize, he realizes too. I wish I could figure out how he figures his bread. I'm listening to that guy 'cause he makes money, man. I don't give a shit if I made a lot of money off of dividends and capital gains and did nothing, I don't care. I mean, it'd be fine with me. I wouldn't have no guilty conscience, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. You could tell he's giving you straight scoop about that. But he's going to he's holding on. He's holding on with a lot of gold, and there's a reason for it. So basically, when BJF is telling you about the reset and the collapse, that crap's going to come about. But in the meantime, there's going to be some, peaks, and there's going to be some setbacks. And this guy's going to be telling you never to sell. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to sell some when it gets up to a certain point. Now, I'm going to say something else about investing, like in electronic markets, like with taxation. And, they got this other thing called, like, wash sale disallowed. Wash sale disallowed. What the hell is that? Actually, I think it came out 2 or 3 years ago. Like, say, for instance, you bought an ETF on a, ticker with, you say you got SLV or PSLV, and you figure silver's going to pull back. Well, so you figure, oh shit, I'm going to sell it. Even though it's a loss, I can recognize the loss, which normally you can't. But if you buy that back, say silver was at $30 and it went down to 28. If you buy it back at 28 within 30 days, it's called a wash sale disallowed. The IRS will not allow you to recognize the loss that you had on the sale because you bought it back. So what you'd really have to do is, if you thought it was going to go down, it's basically to short silver. Because then, and hold your position, say for instance, or just dump your position. But if you bought it back, you bought back that same position within 30 days, and you sold it before, like you sold it before and you had a loss, and you bought it back at 30 days lower, they're not gonna let you recognize the loss until you finally sell the whole thing later on. And that could be a couple years later or a year later. So it's a pain in the ass for accounting, man. It's bullshit. It's like you got to remember to take your wash sale. The wash sale is disallowed immediately, but you got to remember to take that capital loss when you figure it all out later on. It's a pain in the ass, man. It's a newer rule. And it sucks, to tell you the truth, man. I don't like that shit. But, I'm going to tell you this, though. The IRS and the government, if silver goes way the hell up, they're going to tax the shit out of it. They're going to. They ain't going to lose control. So, actually the one way to act, the only way you're actually going to freaking destroy them is if people said, people decided to even make their own currency and use it as legal tender and not use the American dollar. That would destroy them right there. Or use like hemp or ammunition or silver or whatever as money. But most people won't do that. I mean, there's no cottage industries out there where we have a real middle class. We got like Walmart, we got big box stores, we got, things like that we deal with, and they all deal with electronic money. So you're not going to, that system ain't going to come down. I almost guarantee you. So just watch the bullshit out there, because, I think silver's going to do good. But I've been saying it all along. There's a lot of people out there selling you snake oil. And the only guy I really trust is Mark Faber. And it's almost like, I feel very, very safe in being in gold and in the precious metals because of what he says. There's going to be a catastrophic collapse. And when there is, people are going to panic into the metals. There's no doubt about it. So he's correct on that shit all the way, and he's not selling you nothing. I think he's actually giving you a straight scoop all the way. The guy's actually got a conscience. Other people you got to read between the lines. Like I said, I don't trust Max Kaiser. I don't trust Eric Sprott. I don't trust any of those guys, man. I don't trust most of the silver bloggers out there and stuff. I don't trust them at all. They're bullshit. Now, I'm going to say this, for if you want to have some advice. I sold like platinum, which is mainly I had some platinum and had some palladium, but mainly platinum, and I got a gain on it, right? So now I thought it was going to bounce up a little bit, then it might take a further pullback, so it bounced up a little bit, but I could be wrong. It could just keep going up and up and up, and then I'm like missing a boat. But I'll just keep my cool because I realize there's always something else out there. But platinum might be a good investment electronically if it pulls back. If it pulls back more. Fundamentally, it shouldn't pull back for nothing. Fundamentally, it should be up in the stratosphere, but that doesn't mean anything because paper markets are weird, man. I don't know what the deal is because it's almost like the opposite seems to happen. When it's saying the mines are having problems and stuff, sometimes the stupid thing pulls back anyway. But if the markets in general may pull back, like the S&P, gold might be doing okay, but platinum, since it's such a heavy industrial metal, may pull back pretty good. So I'm waiting on that. And I'm not like, I don't have my eye focused in on it like I have to get platinum. I don't think that way. I think it may pull back, and I kind of like, I'll put some money in that. So also I'm looking at some of the marijuana stocks out there, hemp and all this type of stuff, medbox and stuff. If I see any of that stuff pull back, I'll get some, And to tell you the truth, what all the silver bloggers and stuff didn't tell you, and even, actually, Manarino, Greg Manarino, he's not too bad, but he's basically selling you some shit too. But, one of the smartest things you could have bought a few years ago was Ruger firearm stock. Could have done damn good, a lot better than you ever did in silver. And think about it, that's a commodity that's needed. American people are arming themselves to the teeth, so the gun manufacturers are going up, up, up. The stocks are doing great. And, right now they're pretty high, so I don't know if I wouldn't buy them right now. But, it's good to think about these things. And I think one industry that might be coming on pretty strong in the future is going to be the marijuana and the hemp industry. But you got to watch because some of these companies are really small and they're probably just run by some bullshit artists, and you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You can lose your ass, So you want to split your bets. But, the one thing I think you'd be very sure with, if big IF, if platinum pulls back like into the low 1500s and say gold is, higher than platinum by like 2 or 3%, I'd buy it. And I think that would be a surefire play. You'd get some money on that because that would probably be the whole pullback. And I'm not sure if it's going to do that. So if it does that, platinum would be a buy. But I think you're not going to go wrong in any of the precious metals, but there's going to be several peaks before the big final collapse happens. And if there is a big final collapse, there's going to be heavy, heavy taxation. So watch out for that deal. That's one reason, I'm going to sell in pieces. And I'll probably keep a reserve on hand, a large reserve, but I'll sell in pieces just so, I have fiat cash that I could spend on other assets that I want to get or whatever the hell it is. So I think that's a smart strategy. And pay very, very careful attention to Mark Farber. Very careful attention. He expects a further pullback at the end of the year. Max Kaiser, I don't trust at all. Not at all. A lot of them I don't trust, period. So, not trying to say anything, derogatory or anything like that. But somehow I think Max Kaiser is all in cahoots with Eric Sprott, and then you might see BJF is in cahoots with that shit too, for all I know. Maybe. I'm not sure, but I don't like their advice, to tell you the truth. I think it stinks. And they know the markets, though. They know when to sell. Because like I said, Eric Sprott and David Morgan sold right at the exact perfect time. They didn't really tell anybody else what to do, did they? Nope. And now you got Max Kaiser pushing Bitcoins. Whoa. Run from that shit like it's the plague. I don't trust that at all. So, but just beware. You know, if you're going to make a lot of money on the precious metals, the IRS is going to tax the crap out of them. So, you know, if you say it went up to 100 and you sold some and it goes up to 400, they might tax it at 50% or more, all I know. Who the hell knows what they're going to do, you know? Because if silver went up to like $400 an ounce at one point in time, we're in a collapse, man. We're in a major collapse. And, you know, it's just, I tell you, the government's going to try to get it one way or the other. And the only way they're going to be able to get it is not to physically confiscate it like running up to your house with a tank or something. They're going to try to confiscate it at, you know, the point of sale, right? There's going to be a lot of controls over the bullion dealers and stuff. So it ain't going to be that smooth. And, you know, if the money system does collapse, you might replace it with an electronic chip too. So what do you do then, right? I don't know. I personally hate the freaking bullshit that goes on with this kind of crap. You know, I'm a little more aggressive than the average person, but I realize a lot of this stuff is coming about because the vast majority of people are totally apathetic. You ain't gonna wake them up. They're idiots, man. And I'm not interested in freaking saving their ass, to tell you the truth. They can go to hell. You know, that's the way I look at it. I'm only more interested in telling people common sense things that, you know, that are on the ball and give a shit about other people. Because most people are very apathetic, self-centered. That's why the system is able to perpetuate itself, because you got those type of people around. But industries to watch, I think, is the hemp industry. And it could be the gun industry. I mean, if there's some kind of pullback in Ruger firearms or something like that, that might be a good stock to buy. And always keep some cash on hand, because you never know what could possibly happen. You know, even British Petroleum, after the Gulf incident, that was a smart stock to buy when it was down because of the problem in the Gulf in Mexico with their oil well blowing out. It went way up, didn't it? So, you know, airlines after 9/11, they were smart stocks to buy and they went back up, didn't they? So, you know, Mark Farber's expecting a pullback in the market, so maybe a good time to stay, you know, not just keep adding to silver all the time, unless you don't have any. You know, think about other things too. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm mainly into physical metals, no doubt about it, but that's not, I don't have tunnel vision on that. So, you know, it's like you got to have flexibility too. So anyway, just pay more attention, I would say. I personally weight Mark Farber's advice more than anybody. I'm not even a fan of Peter Schiff, to tell you the truth. You know, he's missed a couple things too, and I know some people say there's stuff that Mark Farber missed, but not too much, not too much. And he does expect that there might be one last final pullback in the metals, meaning he's going to buy hard, and that'll wash a lot of people out, and then it'll make, you know, then it'll just be up, up, up from there. That possibly could be. I'm not sure. He's not sure either. But you know, I would buy at that situation too. So I'm waiting, and I also have my core positions in the metals electronically too. So, you know, if I decide, you know, not to buy because it's going up, 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 well, I got other things I have too. So I'll sell those at one point in time too. But that's the way you need to play it. And do not trust Bitcoins. Don't trust people that push that crap like Max Kaiser's. That guy, you know, I think bar none summed him up. He's like a used car salesman. I was saying this from a while back, man, but, you know, I don't know. Sometimes people think I'm being mean or I'm being spiteful because I'm saying this. No, I'm not. Really, I'm telling you right now, these guys ain't out for the middle class at all. They're bullshit. They're hucksters. Mark Farber, I think, is. I think that guy does give a shit about what goes on with the middle class big time. and he's over 25% invested in gold. Not 100%, over 25%. So that tells you something.